We are about to embark upon a series of strange and exciting, dangerous adventures. Adventures that will lead us to all parts of the world.
Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we are looking at The Avengers, War Across Time, Issue 1. This was written by Paul Levitz, with art by Alan Davis, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, lettered by VC's Corey Pettit, assistant editor Martin Biro, associate editor Annalise Bissa, edited by Tom Brevoort. So this issue takes place right after Avengers issue 11. The Avengers have returned to New York City, and they fought an android version of Spider-Man that had been sent through time by Kang the Conqueror. Well, he's very upset about them defeating his robot, so he searches through his things, mostly in an angry little tantrum, and uses a really kind of creepy way of sending a new creature after them, and that is a robot Hulk. So they have to fight this robot Hulk throughout New York City and try and avoid innocents being killed at the same time. Now remember, they are tired from their previous fight, but thankfully Iron Man shows up from his encounter with the Mandarin in Tales of Suspense issue 62, and he saves Rick Jones from a pretty horrific death, and Rick figures out that this is in fact Kang's doing, because Kang has a little bit of a vindictive edge for him for his previous interference in things. And now this story really pays a lot of homage to the old comics. It is kind of implied this takes place in the 60s, but it's never explicitly said. But we've got a couple people in the crowd saying that they saw Cap in the war, and let's face it, World War II veterans would be very, very old at this point. Also, Cap does save Aunt May, which was a nice homage, but the dialogue and the way it's written is very 60s. It's a lot of fun. They even have some gizmos on Iron Man's armor, like the roller skates and the magnets, that are a bit goofy, but were silly fun. But the art is fantastic in this. The story is a lot of fun. It's good, classic comic book material. The cover price is $6, but it is an oversized issue, not one of their regular 20-page pamphlets on garbage paper, so you're actually getting some value for the dollar here. The cover's fantastic. That looks like a poster that I would have had on my wall as a kid. Overall, this is just a fantastic book. The story's great, the art's amazing, everything comes together, and I'm excited to pick up issue 2. This is probably the best Avengers story I've read in a very long time that was an actual new issue. So I will absolutely recommend this. This was an amazing book. I'm really looking forward to reading issue 2, and I can't recommend it enough. This is impressive by Marvel standards of today, but would have been a solid book in the 80s. So if you want some actual fun Marvel comics off the new release rack, this is it. And this is probably going to be the only one you find on the new release rack that's worth the cover price. So definitely pick it up if you get a chance, especially if you're an Avengers fan. Every one of the main characters shines at some point in the book. So it was really, really fun to see that, and to see some return to quality storytelling from the House of Lacking Ideas for the last 20 years. So please check this out, support the good books that they put out, maybe we'll see more of them. This issue can also be enjoyed as a standalone. It's part of a mini-series, but it does have a full story in here with the subplot of Kang the Conqueror. So I can't say enough positive things about it without ruining more. But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one. Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at The Avengers, War Across Time, written by Paul Levitz, art by Alan Davis, color by Rochelle Rosenberg, letters by VC's Corey Pettit, cover art by Alan Davis and Matt Hollingsworth, assistant editor Martin Biro, associate editor Annalise Bissa, edited by Tom Brevoort. I really like that cover. It's really well done, and shockingly, it does apply to what's going on in the book. So the Avengers arrive at the Baxter Building hoping that the Fantastic Four can help them in this fight against Kang, and they're hoping to use Dr. Doom's time platform for that. But the Fantastic Four are away on some sort of mission, and nobody knows when they're coming back. And they have a conversation with Willie Lumpkin, who is not the most helpful person in the world, and they decide they're going to have to break in. They think the Fantastic Four is going to understand because it is an emergency. But unfortunately, there's booby traps, and these bands like coils with lubricant on them wrap them up and make it really hard to fight. Thankfully, they figure out how to deactivate that pretty quick, but the time platform ends up being too complicated for them, and they don't really want to mess with something they don't understand. So they end up having to leave, and accidentally somebody activates the time platform, and they end up summoning the King of Dwarves. And he is not happy. He figures out that Thor was there, so he blames Thor for bringing him here, thinking he's being kidnapped, and he goes on a little rampage, breaking stuff. Thor thankfully didn't go too far, so he is there to try and stop the creature. There's a guest appearance by another superhero, but he doesn't get involved because he doesn't think he's needed, because the other Avengers show up, and we are left with a pretty spectacular cliffhanger ending. There's also a guest appearance by Patsy Walker, so that was kind of funny. There are a lot of great references to old comics in here that if you're not a fan of the Silver Age, you might overlook, and a couple of them are probably beyond me even, but there's some really good stuff here. This is good classic comic book action and adventure, bright colors, jokes being cracked, people that are actually acting like the superheroes they used to act like. Instead of a bunch of navel-gazing crybabies, they just jump right in and do what needs done. This was a lot of awesome action, a lot of great art, and a really fun story. I am shocked this is a Marvel book. This is probably one of the best books Marvel's putting out right now. So if you get a chance to read this, I highly, highly recommend it. Especially if you're a fan of Marvel from the 60s to the 80s, anywhere in that period, there's something here for you. This is classic storytelling with amazing classic style art where the heroes look like heroes, they act like heroes, and it's written with a fun story. So you actually get a story here that's part of a larger narrative that you can enjoy on its own or as part of the ongoing storyline. This miniseries is fantastic, and I really, really wish these guys would be doing a monthly book instead of just a miniseries, because this is great stuff. So if you get a chance to check this out, I highly, highly recommend it, especially if you're an Avengers fan or just a Marvel fan from, like I said, the 60s through the 80s. This is going to be right up your alley. It is absolutely good old-fashioned classic Marvel storytelling, and I cannot recommend it enough. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods, and as always, we hope to see you on the next one. Welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at the Avengers War Across Time Issue 3. This is a 5-part mini-series from Marvel Comics in 2023, written by Paul Levitz, art by Alan Davis, color art by Rochelle Rosenberg, letters by VC's Corey Pettit, cover by Alan Davis and Matt Hollingsworth, assistant editor Martin Biro, associate editor Annalise Bissa, edited by Tom Brevoort. So the King of the Dwarves has Thor's hammer, and he is more than happy to throw it around and start breaking stuff, including a building. So the Avengers are trying to stop some of the carnage while also trying to stop the King of the Dwarves. That is proving to be a pretty monumental challenge, and Thor wants his hammer back really badly. Now, thankfully, the conflict is sort of resolved, but the King of the Dwarves does go underground and runs into an old enemy of the Avengers. And Kang sees his moment to finally attack, and he does it at what could be one of the worst times possible for the Avengers. So we get to see a very, very old school Avengers enemy from Avengers issue 5 show back up, as well as the King of the Dwarves being really obstinate and not understanding what's going on, and Kang's machinations finally really coming into play, and the Avengers knowing that they have serious problems because they're trying to stop Kang, and now they have this other issue to deal with. The art in here is fantastic. This is some classic art. It's amazing. Really, really good work here by Alan Davis, and the story is phenomenal. The heroes actually act like heroes, and the story is very fast-paced and very, very fun. It reads like an old comic book from the 80s, maybe even the Silver Age in some respects. I love this book. This was fantastic. I cannot recommend this series highly enough, and this issue just did not stop. It was so much fun. So if you haven't been reading this, I highly recommend it. This is good Avengers material from a great team, and I'm really looking forward to reading the next issue. So if you get a chance to check this out, absolutely do it. This is fun stuff. That cover's awesome. It gives you everything you want from a cover. Action, peril, the heroes on it, sense of struggle. It's fantastic. So everything about this book, except for the crappy paper quality, is great. Good Marvel storytelling of a bygone era that I wish they would come back to. So if you want some great Avengers stuff, here it is. That's gonna do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one. Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at The Avengers War Across Time, Issue 4. This is a mini-series from Marvel Comics written by Paul Levitz, art by Alan Davis, color art by Rochelle Rosenberg, letters by VC's Corey Pettit, cover by Alan Davis and Carlos Lopez. Assistant editor was Martin Biro, associate editor Annalise Bissa, edited by Tom Brevoort. Now the Avengers are fighting the Lava Men, but the King of the Dwarves has taken Thor's hammer. Now he's going to revert back to Don Blake if he doesn't get the hammer back soon. So he has to make a getaway because nobody knows that he's secretly Don Blake. So while Thor is missing in action, the others try and go after the Lava Men. Kang, however, is in the far future conquering another planet, and his machinations are coming into full progress, and he is planning on scooping up the Avengers when they're seemingly most in trouble. But the Avengers are pretty crafty, and they're fighting these Lava Men off. Thankfully, Thor shows up again to help out, and we are left with a cliffhanger ending that looks like Thor might be preoccupied and the Avengers are going to face Kang. I really like this book. This is fantastic. This takes me back to a much better time in comic books when they were fun, lighthearted, not super serious, and full of adventure, and not a bunch of boring political crap or talking and eating. This is by far Marvel's best book out on the stands now. So if you could pick this up and you're looking for an adventure story, this is it. Especially with the Avengers in their more classic era in the early Silver Age. I think you'll really like this. If you like anything from the Silver Age to the Copper Age, I think you're really gonna like this. It's got a fun story, it's not real super deep, and it is really, really fun. Just lots of adventure, lots of action, and it's very well written and drawn. Everything about this book works out. The art is fantastic, the coloring is fantastic, that cover is awesome. I had so much fun reading this book. It really made me nostalgic for some old-time Avengers books, so maybe I'll go back and reread some of those maybe next year. But in the meantime, I am absolutely going to recommend this. This is by far one of the best books out there and probably Marvel's best book. I hope they have a sequel because I would absolutely buy it. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one. Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at The Avengers War Across Time, Issue 5. This is the final part of the mini-series from Marvel Comics, written by Paul Levitz, art by Alan Davis, color art by Rochelle Rosenberg, letters by VC's Corey Pettit, cover art by Alan Davis and Matt Hollingsworth, assistant editor Martin Biro, associate editor Annalise Bissa, edited by Tom Brevoort. So Kang has drawn 4 of the Avengers into the far, far future, where he plans on crushing them. Unfortunately, the Avengers aren't going to just take that, so he tries shooting them with a power blast. Thankfully, Cap's shield's there, and then he puts up a force wall. Iron Man takes off to investigate a lead he might have on how to stop that, but the others have to deal with it. Unfortunately, he begins shrinking around them, and that allows Wasp and Giant Man to shrink down, but Cap has to stay the same size. Thankfully, his shield is creating a bit of a barrier, and Kang is a little annoyed by that. Well, Iron Man manages to knock some power out, but Kang's not about to give in to them, and he tricks them into falling on a time platform that was probably Doctor Doom's at one point, and they get hurled through time to see different iterations of the Avengers doing different things, including the Kree-Skrull War, the Infinity Gauntlet, things like that. It's just passing episodes from their life, but it's all future to these guys, and of course, they have to assume that it's all an illusion. There's even a really nice reference to Black Widow in her original goofy costume. This was a really, really interesting story. It's just good old-fashioned comic book storytelling, not real heavy, not super deep, not a bunch of navel-gazing nonsense. It's just fun action and adventure, and I loved it. I am absolutely going to recommend this miniseries. It is so much fun. There's a lot of great references to other storylines from early on in the Avengers tales, and that absolutely makes it worth picking up. So if you're a big Avengers fan and you like the classic storytelling of the 70s and 80s, I think you're really going to like this. There's a lot of Silver Age references, but the style is definitely more late Silver Age, early Copper Age, back when Marvel was really good. If you get a chance to check these out, please do so. Even if you're grabbing them out of a back issue bin or in trade paperback, I don't think it really matters how you read it. Highest possible recommendation on this miniseries. The art was fantastic, the coloring was fantastic, the story was fantastic, and the cover's pretty awesome. So everything really comes together on these books, and I really loved it. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods. And as always, we hope to see you on the next one.